Let's face it, the dollar just isn't what it used to be. That's why people like you and me, we gotta be careful to get the most value for our money. That's why I come here, Taco Bell. I can feed my whole family for $5.59. 2 tacos, 2 bean burritos, 2 tostadas, pintos and cheese, soft drinks, only $5.59. Like they're saying, Taco Bell. What a meal, what a deal. No kidding. Taco Bell.
All right. It is that time, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Dead Man Horror Show. Tonight, or in this episode, I should say, depending on when you catch this, we will be talking about a story of 2 people. A story of a couple that went on a romantic camping trip into the Yosemite National Park and were never seen again. Never heard from again. And this story is a story that's actually, it's just 2 people. This is something that happens more often than you think. I don't know if you ever really looked into it. Probably not. A lot of people don't, but hundreds, if not thousands of people go missing, presumably, possibly, on a monthly basis in these national parks. Now, the numbers are hard to get, hard to find, because this may surprise you. They don't actually really keep track of that sort of thing. The National Park Service does not maintain a comprehensive database specifically for missing persons in national parks. It's as if it's like, well, what are we supposed to do about it? Oh, okay. They'll go look for them for a little bit. But, it's hard to find people at times, especially if they don't want to be found, especially if you have wild animals that get involved, or maybe other people, or maybe something else. Now, in this story, we are talking about 2 people, and I could introduce you to the individuals, Sarah and Jake. You may want me to tell you who they are and their background, but I think in this story it's best to start with what happened and the story kind of surrounding their disappearance and all that. If I explain to you their character, you may not want to hear it, but if you're curious, definitely jump ahead. It's one of those things where, it is a very curious situation. But then you're like, man, do they? Or at least is one of them? Does he really deserve any real sympathy? Oh, well, maybe, yeah. People are flawed. People have character flaws, right? So just keep that in mind as we get into this. Our story is of Sarah and Jake disappearing into the woods. into Yosemite National Park. Let's get into this here. Before I do, let me light this. Just tobacco. Just tobacco. So the story goes something like this. Sometime around February of last year, the breathtaking wilderness of Yosemite National Park, a young couple named Sarah and Jake embarked on a romantic camping trip. Surrounded by towering sequoias and majestic waterfalls, they sought solace in the embrace of nature's beauty. However, their venture into the park's enigmatic depths would unravel a mystery that lingered long after they vanished from the world they once knew. Sarah had always been close with a particular family member, her sister, though this family member prefers to remain anonymous. Their bond was strong, nurtured by frequent communication that bridged any physical distance. Yet, as the weeks turned into months, Sarah's messages ceased, plunging the family into a tormenting silence. Concern transformed into distress, and the sister harbored a growing fear that something sinister, something indeed very sinister, had befallen the young couple. Disturbed by the sudden disappearance, park rangers combed the vast expanse of Yosemite, desperate to uncover any trace of Sarah or of Jake. Amidst the towering pines, they stumbled upon the remnants of the couple's camping gear, abandoned and bereft of human presence. Anxiety clung to the air, mingling. I don't know what I was saying there. Mingling with the scent of pine needles as the search party delved deeper into the heart of the wilderness. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and the mystery persists. The anonymous family member, the sister, consumed by grief and suspicion, began to doubt the efforts of the park rangers. In her heart, she knew something dreadful had transpired. She believed something horrible happened, something beyond the comprehension of mortal minds, and she felt as if the park rangers weren't really paying much attention. Maybe were giving up. Maybe they gave up maybe they didn't care in the beginning and they just were only pretending. As whispers of supernatural happenings drifted among the locals, the sister decided to venture into the park herself, driven by the desperate need for answers, as one would imagine. Now, this part is really her account of what she saw, and it is very strange what you're going to hear. But bear with me, stay with me, because we're going to dig into it, okay? This is her story. She claims as she walked, or I should say, explored the depths of the woods, she saw a scene of sun rays being filtered through the dense canopy as she followed forgotten paths etched by time. And then she saw a flicker of movement, a movement that seemed to be fleeting, a fleeting glimpse of a shadow vanishing behind ancient trees. Her heart was pounding, and she pursued this figure, this thing, this what it was. Was she hallucinating? I don't know. But she saw something. She claimed she saw something. She couldn't really hear it, but there was a lot of nature noises, if you will, around her. So it was hard to keep track of that. As she approached, or as she ventured deeper into the wilderness, I should say, she ventured, and the barrier, she felt as if the barrier between the known and the unknown grew ever thinner. She claims that she began to hear whispers of the lost couple, of her sister and her sister's boyfriend. The whispers seemed to had been rustling with the leaves, and then the sister claimed that she could sense a presence of Sarah and Jake, as if their spirits were interwoven with the park's very fabric. And then finally, in a secluded glen, a revelation awaited her. She claimed, ladies and gentlemen, that she saw shadows dance upon the moss-covered ground as the couple's spectral figures materialized before her eyes. This is what she claimed. And from what she saw, she left that place believing that Yosemite had become a sanctuary for her and for him. That she believes that they should be at peace. That she is at peace. Now, this particular member, wants to be left alone and claim that she, like I said, wants to be at peace. But she did experience something quite phenomenal. And I'm not so convinced that this story, of her story, really tells the full story. If this person did indeed hear whispers and see ghosts of this young couple, of her sister and her sister's boyfriend, of Sarah and Jake, then it leads me to wonder even more what happened to them. You know, setting aside the ghosts, it's like, okay, well, that's you go into the woods, you see something supernatural, and you're good. I mean, you do you, but I have more questions. I'm sure you do too. I mean, let's start with the park rangers. What did they find, if anything? According to her story, the park rangers found remnants of camping gear, a tent, and whatever else they had with them while camping. What were those things? Was any of it damaged? Were there any markings on those things? Any markings that would indicate an attack from like a wild beast, or maybe attack between the two? No mention of footprints, no mention of track marks, no mention of blood splatter or anything. Okay. I was just curious if there's any other clues that would warrant further questions. Now, I heard that the park rangers found Sarah's car. She drove a 2018 Jeep Wrangler, and the Jeep was found in the parking lot. But not only was it found in the parking lot, but the keys are found nearby on the ground. Like, there's the parking lot, and then there's where the grass starts and all, and it was over there. One would have to ask how that happened. Was it dropped as she and Jake went to go on their little camping trip? Or was it dropped during whatever scuffle that may have happened, that might have happened? So, what happened there? If only there was another story, because the park rangers, like in any many other cases, are very tight-lipped about this situation. If only there was another story that could give us more information. Sure, it will be anecdotal, but it could possibly help. Fortunately for us, there is another story. There's another story, and in this will help us understand what could have happened with Sarah and Jake. You see, there's a German hiker. A German hiker had discovered something during his time in Yosemite National Park. And his account is very curious. His account, there's more to it than what you might think. Christoph Schmidt had always been an adventurous spirit, traversing the globe in search of an untamed landscape to conquer. He had arrived at Yosemite National Park. When he arrived there, he was captivated by its grandeur and decided to embark on a challenging hiking expedition through its rugged terrain. But one day, as he ventured deeper into the wilderness, Christoph stumbled upon a weathered journal tucked amidst a cluster of rocks. Now, he claims initially he paid it little mind, assuming it was a forgotten relic behind by a previous traveler. However, as he continued to hike, a nagging curiosity gnawed at his consciousness. He claims that he did eventually turn back. Intrigued, Christoph retraced his steps to retrieve the journal. Its pages were worn. He describes its pages as being very worn, the leather cover aged with time. And as he carefully read through it, he had to carefully open it first, he discovered the handwritten entries of a woman named Sarah. Now, is this the same Sarah? Sarah is a common name. How many Sarahs go out to Yosemite and come back just fine? Probably a lot. Probably a lot. I don't know how many Sarahs there are in America, but there's probably a lot. So, it could be, but maybe not. We'll see. But according to Christoph, from the journal he was reading, Sarah's words seemed to dance upon the pages, revealing glimpses of her innermost thoughts and the experiences she shared with Jake. As he delved deeper into Sarah's intimate musings, Christoph felt an inexplicable connection to her. He sensed her joys, you could say. He sensed her fears, and the deep love she had for the wilderness that surrounded her. Sarah's journal painted vivid pictures of their romantic camping trip, obviously with Jake. It seemed to be like the relationship was in a very positive one. They shared laughter, the laughter that seemed to echo through the canyons, and they shared whispers. They would whisper promises beneath starlit skies. It was very romantic. People love that sort of thing, you know? People dream about that sort of thing. But then it shifted. Christoph noticed a shift in tone in the journal. Sarah's entries became a little worrisome, hints of unease and a growing sense of foreboding. The once idyllic narrative seemed to twist and veil at an undercurrent of fear and uncertainty, and doubt crept into his mind, compelling him to take action. Now, he was not very detailed on this account, but he did say that there were issues between the two. What started off as idyllic became worrisome as their trip continued. Okay. Driven by an unsettling intuition, he claims, and when he read that, he had this feeling that something might have happened between Sarah and Jake, and he had to go look for them. They were probably not in the right state of mind. Sarah and Jake were apparently, from the journal, were experimenting with, well, everyone has marijuana here and there, but experimenting with ayahuasca and things like that. So he was concerned about that, and there was some issues, some arguments, and it seems like Jake had a short temper, which we'll get. Like I said, we will talk about their character after all this. Okay. But Kristoff sought out the park rangers, divulging his discovery and sharing his concerns. He recounted the journal's contents, emphasizing the disquieting shift in Sarah's words. Though the rangers listened attentively, you would imagine, though it could be fake, right? It could be just pretending. Some appeared skeptical, perhaps dismissing Kristoff's account as an overactive imagination. When they saw the journal, they didn't think much of it. According to Kristoff, he couldn't really tell if they were saving face, if they really cared, or what. But there was one ranger, attuned to the mysteries of the park, and recognized the gravity of Kristoff's story. He seemed to remember something about this. Intrigued and perhaps haunted by his own questions. He did manage to organize a search party, a small one, to investigate further. Guided by Kristoff's recollection of his hiking route, they ventured, him and the park rangers, a few, ventured into the wilderness, their resolve unwavering. Days turned into nights as the search party combed through the rugged terrain. With each step, they encountered eerie silence, broken only by the whisper of wind through the trees. Yet the journal remained a beacon of hope, leading them deeper into the labyrinth beauty of Yosemite. And then finally, at the precipice of exhaustion and uncertainty, the park rangers and Kristoff discovered a hidden alcove nestled amidst ancient boulders. There, they stumbled upon a ghastly sight. Blood-stained clothes and scattered personal belongings bore witness to a struggle that had unfolded in the heart of nature's sanctuary. Something indeed happened. If this was not Sarah and Jake, it was still alarming as to what happened here. Okay? The park rangers exchanged grave glances, according to Kristoff. Kristoff believed that his intuition was accurate, was proven right. And that the discovery of Sarah's journal and the remnants of the campsite brought forth a new understanding. For him, it was a tale of love and loss, forever etched in his mind of Yosemite. Okay? Though the fate of Sarah and Jake remained shrouded in uncertainty, their absence became an undeniable mark in the park's history. Now, Kristoff is still a hiker, and he likes to do what he does. He's not really active in this, other than what he found. His account is interesting, and it does tell a lot. It doesn't necessarily prove that it is Sarah or Jake, but it does show that something did happen there. But maybe it could be another couple. Maybe it's not even a couple. Maybe it's someone who was attacked by an animal, okay? Or maybe it was attacked by another human. Or maybe they took their own life. People go to the national parks to end their life many times. Many, many times. So it could be many things. As from what I know, from what I gathered, they have yet to actually find Sarah's body or Jake's body. Now, the family member, the sister that we talked about earlier, I don't know if she knows about this discovery of what Christoph Schmidt had found. And being that she found closure already, or claims to have found closure, I don't know what good it would do to tell her about it or to ask her about it. So I just kind of left that alone. But it seems, though, that the story of Sarah and Jake ends here with a lot of questions. Yet I found something. Maybe I found something. I found this interesting 4chan post about a feral woman in Yosemite Park, and it might be connected. An anonymous user on 4chan on the Outboard had a post that read like this: "Hey, Out, you won't believe what happened to me in Yosemite today. I'm still kicking myself over it. I was hiking through the trails, enjoying the scenery, when I decided to take a break and rest my tired legs. I found a nice spot to chill, you know? And that's when shit got weird. Out of nowhere, this feral-looking girl appears. Seriously, she had dirt all over her face, tangled hair like a wild animal, and torn clothes. Like, I could see her nipple. I could see her breasts. I almost dropped my water bottle. Man, it was like she crawled out of the forest. Anyway, being the good Samaritan that I am, I offered her a swig from my water bottle. Thought she might appreciate some hydration, you know? But no, she freaked out and ran away like a startled deer. I mean, come on. At least take the water if you're gonna, like, be a hot nature girl straight out of some survival horror movie, okay? Now I'm stuck here, forever doomed to be a virgin because not even a dirty-faced forest dweller wants anything to do with me. Thanks a lot, feral girl. I hope you're happy now." And there was a response and a back and forth. It's not really that important to this, but people were responding to how he didn't really seem to talk to any authorities about the feral girl. It just seemed like he was coping with the fact that he was rejected once again, by a female. So it was an incel hiker. That's very interesting there. But I mean, could this feral girl be Sarah? I mean, it could be, maybe. I don't know. Apparently, there's other stories and tells that you can hear on YouTube. You can read on Reddit, read on 4chan about people finding feral people out in the woods, out in these national parks. Who's watching these parks? What are the rangers doing all day? What are they ranging? I couldn't tell you. I don't know. But maybe it's Sarah. If it's Sarah, then what does that mean about the story that Christoph told me? Is that story just fake? Was it just a bunch of crap? I don't know. I couldn't tell you that. Maybe Sarah's alive. Maybe the bloody, the torn clothes and the blood splatter, maybe that had to do with Jake. But then you think, wait, Sarah and Jake were missing for how long? For February of last year. Why would there still be blood splatter and a story in another person's account? Why would that be Sarah and Jake? Why would that be them? That story, the Kristoff story, was of this year. Okay? So I really don't know. Now, this is as far as I have in this mystery, but I do have some information about Sarah and Jake that might give us a hint as to what might have happened. Like, if we understand their character, we could possibly understand. We could possibly speculate a little bit more accurately what could have transpired. So Sarah Thompson was a remarkable individual from what I've seen. Okay. She left a mark on the world, or at least was born to leave a mark on the world in paleontology. Okay. She was born in a loving and supporting family on May 12th, 1988, in a small town nestled amidst rolling hills. She had a passion for the natural world. When she grew up, Sarah was blessed with a tight-knit family that fostered her curiosity and thirst for knowledge. Her parents, John and Lisa, they instilled in her a deep appreciation for science and exploration. They encouraged her to follow her dreams and pursue her interests wholeheartedly. And Sarah's academic journey was nothing short but of extraordinary for her age. Okay? We're talking late 20s, mid 20s, and she was already had a bachelor's on a master's, actually a bachelor's in geology, with a specialization in paleontology, and she was working on a master's. Okay. She had hopes and dreams for a PhD one day. So she was an academic. Okay, she was a nature-loving academic. And she loved snails. She would collect a bunch of snails. Her hobby consisted of collecting snails because she felt that they had nice shells. Okay, very intricate shells, and she liked their slow-paced lives. She created a snail colony at her home and playfully naming it Paradise Lost. And she would spend hours observing and caring for her slimy companions. Marvelous collection, okay? It was great. But that's all has been because she's no longer with us now. So, but she did also have a habit of being on Discord quite a bit, dropping like very racist memes. I don't want to get into that because I think that colors it and it distracts from the story of what's important. If I get into that too much, it might make you wonder then why would we care if she says very bad things about or seems to foster opinions of white supremacy. But that's just the start. Let's talk about Jake. Jake's life is a complete mess. He is like very opposite of Sarah. Okay. When I tell you about Jake, I guarantee you, you're going to write them off. You're going to be like, you might say, you know what? I don't care that they're dead. You might even go as far as say, I'm glad that they're dead. Okay, you might. Jake's family was a complete and total mess. His parents were drug addicts who were in and out of jail. And Jake was left to be raised by his grandparents. They did their best to foster a stable home for him, but they failed. He was raised in foster care because his grandpa was also an alcoholic, and it just got bad. But Jake struggled in school, but he managed to graduate high school with the help of a special education program. So it's not funny, not laughing at him. He is diagnosed with IDD. He's an individual with IDD. Don't laugh. It's not funny. But Jake did not pursue college. I'm sorry. I try not to laugh. I don't know why that detail was there. Guys, I try to be politically correct and try to be respectful. Don't laugh. Don't be like me. Do better. Do better. I'm telling you about this guy. At this point, it's like you just listen, okay? Yes, Jake was special ed. Okay? But there's more to it than that. Jake did not pursue college. His life out of high school was mostly involved with lots of drugs, wasting lots of time on Discord, posting about how much he really hates black people, saying that Jake was just a full-on racist. Okay, he would drop N-words every day. He would avoid certain areas because there were black people in it. He would post ramblings and rantings about the things he would do. He bought rope, and made it he tried to post a meme about that. I can't share these messages or images because it is gross, it is horrible, but it's also not the focus of the story. It's a character flaw, like a major character flaw. A doozy of a character flaw. And it is one hell of a distraction it ventured into. So let's just not do that. Let's just say Jake was a piece of shit. Jake was a piece of shit. But Jake did try to work. Jake's career was a mixed bag. He had trouble holding down a job due to his autism. But he managed... This is true. This is true. He managed to find work as a Popeye's fry cook. Basically he did fast food work, which, is what it is. Jake rode a bicycle to and from his job. Like I said, the more I tell you about Jake, the more you're going to be like, okay, I really don't care that he's dead or missing. And I'm probably, you know what, maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. Look, I don't know what happened between the two. I don't know what happened there. Is it a mystery worth solving? Maybe not. There's another piece here. I gathered that Jake would, according to his relatives, would try to steal copper and sell it for money. They had to later spend on drugs. And apparently there was a huge drug problem. Apparently he went to rehab twice while in high school. I don't know how you do that. So I know learning about Jake, telling you about Jake is not helping. It really erodes the seriousness of all this. But I had to tell you about him so that way you know. And that way you're not up at night wondering what happened to Sarah and Jake. What happened to this romantic couple that went on a camping trip? Things start according to Christoph, what Christoph found, a German hiker. It started off well. It was very nice, very lovely. They were laughing and sharing whispers of promises. Now wondering if they're laughing at racist jokes. laughing at extremely racist jokes and whispering, just nonsense you don't even want to know about, But then they're gone. Know what happened? We don't know what happened. But the more important thing is their story is one of many. You see, a lot of people go disappearing in these national parks. It's hard to keep track of the numbers. Because apparently they don't keep track of how many actually go out there and are reported missing. They may do a search party. They may search for a little bit, but they don't actually keep a comprehensive database. I say they, I mean the National Park Service. So it could be a few hundred a month, maybe 1,000. It is estimated maybe 1,000 a year, maybe 2,000 a year. Okay. Maybe even more. And there's weird stories about what happens out there. I think that's what's really important. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this little story.
Let's face it, the dollar just isn't what it used to be. That's why people like you and me, we got to be careful to get the most value for our money. That's why I come here, Taco Bell. I can feed my whole family for $5.59. 2 tacos, 2 bean burritos, 2 tostadas, pintos and cheese, soft drinks, only $5.59. Like they're saying, Taco Bell. What a meal, what a deal. No kidding.
Taco Bell.